Hello and welcome to the fifth and final live election show. My name is Olivia Tarr and I'm here today with Bethan Clargo. Now, we've had a very exciting week and we are now counting down the hours until the live show results tomorrow evening. Now, today we're talking to the societies and the president candidates, so definitely stick around to hear what they have to say and why they should have your vote.
Hello and welcome to the fifth and final elections live show. We are now in the final stages of this elections campaign and we've got a very exciting show for you today. We will be talking to the final set of candidates and we'll be talking to the presidential ones later on this show. But firstly, we'll be talking to Seth Johnson, who is running for Society's chair. So let's have a throwback to Saturday where he faced a soapbox.
I'm Seth, I'm running for Society's chair this year.
But how will you ensure that societies survive COVID, and those that do survive COVID will be able to actually get back on their feet and get new members?
So we've already started to kind of look at this to some extent.
Why do you think it is that people no longer want to be on a societies committee?
So it's not wanting to be on a societies committee, I would say. I think a lot of people, they look at the role and they don't really know what it is.
So how will you help support societies to do activities, not do all their core activities, not necessarily in a practical way, and help them develop over the next few years?
When you say practical, do you mean like in person, physically sitting down? I'd argue against that, to be honest. I think societies are basically drooling to be more physical again, and it is going to slowly come back. It's not going to be complete this year, but it is going to keep coming back. We have more online elements now. I don't think it's going to be less physical in the future. It's continuing to concentrate on Abby's handover because you need people in those committees first. We then run our chairs councils where we kind of come together and all our chairs are there. And
how do you think that society's voices should be represented within the wider Students' Union?
Yes, now first up we do indeed have Seth Johnson, who is running for Society's chair. Now, you may know him from his active role in Gaming Society or from his run last year. So he is back with a digital campaign focusing on Twitch streams and a lot of social media posts. He's here to tell us why you should vote for him, why societies are integral to student life here at Loughborough, and a bit more about himself. But first of all, before we have him live in the studio, let's have a chat and ask him some questions and see why he's running and the enthusiasm behind his campaign.
I'm Seth, I'm running for Society's chair.
Why are you running in the election?
Because I love my section and I want to make it the best it can be. So I ran in the Exec Election last year and I didn't get ROM'd, which was quite nice, but I also ended up with 200 votes and I didn't win, which, you know, that is what it is. But at the same time, I've kind of never had that thing of, hey, 200 people each supporting you right now. And even though I lost, it was really heartwarming to know that there were people out there who'd been like, hey, you would do a good job. And it was really nice. You should vote for me because I know my stuff. I've been part of the section my entire time at university. And I've got solid plans that are grounded in work with the rest of the team over the past 2 years.
Now we should have him live in the studio now. Hello Seth, how are you?
Hi, I'm alright, thank you. Bit sweaty because I cycled over, but good.
Good, glad to hear it.
So, just thinking about your campaign this year, you've obviously used a lot of different digital methods. How have you found that?
Very different from last year and quite disconnected. One of my kind of favourite bits last year was actually getting to talk to the people who were going to vote, whereas this year you know people are engaging with the posts, but you never get to see the face behind them. It's a bit odd.
And you've actually used Twitch as part of your campaigning. That's really unique, and I don't think any of the other candidates have used that. And I suppose with you saying there that you haven't really had a chance to talk to people, has Twitch given you more of a chance to speak to the voters and communicate with them?
Yeah, so we did get some good talking going on it. A lot of the streaming was me talking to myself at times, which is always fun. But I did get some questions in, we were answering those. And whilst there was at times less chat about the elections, I did get to informally chat with people, which was quite nice to see. It's always good to engage with people.
That sounds brilliant. And I know that one of your key manifesto points was having that student voice and making sure there is those communication channels. How do you think that you're going to implement that if you get voted in?
Well, for me, I think it's getting down on the ground floor again. Societies have been quite bogged down in admin the past 2 years with like the website rolling out and everything. And with COVID going on, we've just kind of been shot in the foot as it goes. So this year, I kind of want to get down on the ground floor. I want to be out there with Julia, our society's administrator, going to society events, talking to them, and hopefully getting them back in the office this year, rather than just doing Teams meetings.
Sounds brilliant. And obviously, with how you're speaking, it's very clear that societies are important to you. How have they supported you through your Loughborough journey?
That's a big question. I joined the Tabletop Game Society as a first year, and it's where I found all my friends, to be honest. I found it quite hard to talk to people on my course or in halls or anything, and so Societies was the place that I found the people I could talk to. In my second year, I struggled quite hard with my mental health, and to be honest, the SOC office was one of the only places I could turn. So for me, it's like the foundation stone of like my uni experience and a foundation stone of the kind of people I love who are around me.
Wow, that's really personal and that's great to share. So just thinking again about your campaign and your manifesto, I know at Soapbox you talked about helping support societies over summer. Now, one of my big friends, she is part of a society and a part of the society, the society team. And she found that within her society over the summer there wasn't that much help, and when it came to September, especially with COVID, she was quite bogged down. What are your plans in terms of that?
So we're already looking at doing some more training over the summer, and I think it's more staying in contact. I think last year was quite hard because everyone was furloughed, which meant that there just wasn't anyone around to do anything. It was me, so I'd been elected as vice chair last year, and we didn't even have election results out, so I was trying to struggle to get that out, and so I could understand why your friend definitely found it quite disconnected over the summer. But we really want to stay in touch more this year. We want to check on people, we want to see how their freshers plan is going, and just kind of keep talking to them, honestly.
It sounds like you've definitely got a plan in place. And then the final point that I want to go out, I mean, we all saw your hidden talent video, and you talked about your spider plants. Now, we saw that you had a first generation that had a name and a third generation that had a name. Did your second generation of spider plants have a name?
Yeah, it was Christine.
Christine, wow. Christine. And how many generations of spider plants do you think you're going to be able to grow?
So I've got new ones on the way right now. So it's the original plant that's sprouting again, Bob. So I don't know if that counts as another generation technically, but
we'll count it as
hundreds.
Well. We'll count it as
hundreds is where it's going at this point.
Wow, that sounds brilliant. And just finally, in terms of you and speaking to the voters, have you got anything to say to convince the voters why they should vote for you?
I'd say as a candidate, I'm very honest, I'm very personal, and I don't talk rubbish. I'm talking from my heart about societies because I do genuinely love the section, and you can be sure that I'm going to put all the work in I can next year and more than that, because societies is my life right now and I want to make it the best it can be.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it, Seth, so thank you. Now, we have two candidates running for president. We have Gabriel and Freya, so it's going to be very competitive this year, isn't it? I mean, Bethan, how would you describe the role of president in order to start this conversation?
The president definitely has to be a leader, of course. They're not only a representative of the Students' Union, they are the team member that leads the rest of them. They've got 9, well, they will have next year, 9 executive officers and section chairs.
I mean, that's a lot of people to be in control of and to try and organise, definitely.
Yeah, so, but alongside that, you know, the union is very busy. It's a big place. They've got the section heads and executive officers, but at the same time, they are helping with all of the sections with all of their additional roles as well on top of that. So it is a very busy role. You need someone that's organised and someone that's not afraid to put themselves out there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also it's completely changed because of COVID. For anyone that hasn't realised, all campaigns are digital this year. So we've had streams, we've had songs, we've had social media. I mean, later on we've got a hit song from Hamilton that's inspired a certain candidate's run. So, I mean, so much has changed. I mean, I know for me on campus a lot has changed, but I mean, for you, I mean, you said you were going on placement this year as well.
Yes, so I'm going on placement, and that's been quite different to how I think it has in the past, trying to get one. Everything's been online, digital interviews, but we have had the support from the university, luckily, with that through the Career Centre. But then campus has changed so much. I mean, I used to love going to the library to study, but now it's reopened, it's great, but actually when it was closed, there was not a lot I could do. And I used to love going and just browsing downstairs and looking at the books and, you know, people watching, and I just couldn't do that. And it was so weird to see how much had changed from first year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we have confirmation now that we have our first candidate for president in the studio, hopefully. So we will talk to him in just a second. So we have Gabriel, first of all. So, I mean, what do you know about him so far?
Well, he is the current international officer. And yeah, he's quite excited, I think, to run for president. So let's have a look at what he stands for.
My name is Gabriel Ortiz Vieira, and you can call me Gabo, and I am running for LSU president. I'm very passionate about the human experience. All throughout my life, I've always tried to do more than I'm supposed to. With school, I was always elected into the Students' Council. Here I was always looking for extra positions, and in general I just enjoy getting a smile out of people, improving their day, improving their experience, be that with a joke or doing something like this where I can change and improve lots of lives and make a very, very big positive impact. You should vote for me because I will always have your best interest in mind. I will always make sure that we are listening to the students. And like I said before, I'm really interested and really passionate about improving experiences. I'm really passionate about the human experience, about making people's lives better. And I am a very ambitious individual that will definitely fight till the very last day to make your life better as a student.
And now we are joined by Gabo in the studio. Gabo, how are you?
Hey everyone, I'm very good, thank you.
Right, so just to kick us off to people that don't know you, so everyone here seems to know you as Gabo. I mean, where did that nickname come about?
My mother gave it to me when I was born. They gave me the name Gabriel as the official name, but they always liked Gabo as my nickname.
Oh, well, it's a very, very cute nickname. We all love it here, so it's lovely to see everyone calling you by such a familiar name. Now, you mentioned in your campaign that you were very passionate about the human experience. Can you tell us more about that?
So, I think I've always been passionate about improving people's days, making them have a better experience at something. I think I mentioned before, in school I was always elected to my student council because I always wanted my peers to be heard. I always wanted them to have a better time in school. I always like to organize events for people to enjoy, and that's something that I carried on to university, where I was always looking for more stuff to do apart from my degree. And even my degree is about sports, you know, it's about passion and emotion, improving people's lives, making it better, making them enjoy their day more. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and we have a new VC for anyone else that also doesn't know about that. We have Professor Nick Jennings coming in. How do you plan on building connections with a new VC and a new student body?
Well, I think the first step is to just getting to a meeting, you know, outline the expectations that we will have of him and that he will have of us. I think it's very important for us to let him know how things have been in the past, what we stand for, what we do for the students, perhaps even something like a tour of the building that we can give him, and perhaps like a breakfast, something more relaxed and more personal, where we can create a more personal relationship with him, and from there start building the respect to be able to be a critical friend to the university.
And I mean, currently you're coming off as international officer. I mean, how do you think this has prepared you for a potential role as president?
So I think the role of international officer is very important. Obviously, I'm representing around 3,500 students at the moment, and students that, especially this year, have had a lot of complications because of the pandemic, you know, from not being able to even travel to the UK, having to do quarantine, and stuff like that national students don't really have to go through. And I think the group of people that I led, my committee, it's such a diverse group of people as well that I think my leadership skills have really shown through. We have been able to put on a lot of events. We have been able to step into grounds that ISN hadn't stepped on before, with more panel events and exploring different issues around what international students go through, rather than just the celebratory events that we are known for. So I think I've had a great breadth of experience, from leadership to just being on the ground with students, communicating with them, knowing what they want, what they need, to be able to take on this role.
I mean, it's definitely been different this year with COVID. I mean, everything's been online, it's been social media. But you've actually been a bit of a front runner in making a music video inspired by Hamilton that, if you haven't seen, by the way, I encourage everyone to take a look at it. How did that even come about?
It's funny because I think at the start I didn't want to do a music video. I didn't want to put myself out there like that. But then through conversations that I had with my campaign team,
you were forced into it.
Well, yeah, you could say. No, I was inspired into it. I think it was a good idea. I think the lyrics were very inspired. It's not meant to be a serious video, obviously. You know, we had fun making it. I had a lot of fun making it as well, and singing it. That was my musical debut, by the way. And also, you know, Hamilton, the president. I'm running for the president role. It just seemed like the perfect combination.
I mean, if you were voted in, and obviously you find out tomorrow, what is the biggest change that you plan on making?
Ooh, that is a very, very big question. I think in relation to my third manifesto point, I really, really want to look at how the Students' Union is communicating with students and how we are engaging them, and especially looking into the website and our online presence, something that was extremely important this year. I think our over-reliance on Facebook creates obstacles to students who don't use it or don't have access to it, and I think we can be engaging students more, and also making the content more accessible, and I want to achieve that through a web-based strategy, perhaps a long-term one where we can start taking steps to changing this and reviewing the website as well.
And last but not least, if you could give our viewers one reason to vote for you, what would it be?
I think you should vote for me because I will always have your best interest in mind. I think I'll always make sure, I'm sure I'll always make sure that we are listening to the students. And overall, I'm just a really passionate person. I love this university. I love the Students' Union. I've enjoyed my 4 years here. I've had many different experiences. I've seen Loughborough during normal times, and I think it's something that we can go back to, but even better.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We've really appreciated you being here, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, it was interesting to hear Gabo talking about taking the new Vice-Chancellor through the building, because have you seen the changes they've done to the SU?
It's for anyone that hasn't seen it, I know I've repeated that a lot, but there is a lot of new things happening. It's yellow, by the way. They're yellow.
Some bits are yellow.
Some bits are yellow, okay.
And I've seen a pink phone box somewhere. So that's something to look out for. No, it's very exciting times, and I'm sure everyone cannot wait to see what they have done.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, again, speaking to Gabo, he's not the only presidential candidate we have. We have Freya Mason as well, who we'll be talking to shortly. And it's quite interesting, 2 people running.
Yeah.
How do you think that will go?
I think it's definitely a position with a lot of competition. I think, you're the head of all the executives. You've got a lot on your plate. So you've got to be amazing at giving out details and running a huge amount of the student body. But yeah, instead of us talking about it, why don't we hear from Freya and her campaign team?
My name is Freya and I'm running for LSU President.
Why are you running in the election?
I've loved every experience and opportunity I've had as part of the Loughborough family, and I really want to give back to what I've experienced so far, and I would love to represent the students that have made this place my home. I think my manifesto covers the largest majority of students that I could have done. It covers things from easing out of the pandemic to welfare to strong and stable network for students in town. Therefore, I think I can easily use all my skills to implement this across the year and represent students as best I can.
We have two candidates. Freya will be speaking it to us very shortly. I mean, what do you think are the main differences between their campaigns that we've seen?
I think the way that they have done their campaigning is very different. We had from Gabbo, we had the music video, but Freya's gone for a different sort of tact. She's got a 73 questions video showing her walk around campus, so we could find out a bit more about her. Now, obviously, Freya was a former hall chair. She was Faraday Hall chair, so it will be interesting to see how that has helped her get ready for this campaign.
I think we have her in the studio now, actually. Hello, Freya, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, it's lovely to speak to you today. How are you feeling?
Yeah, really well, thank you.
Now, we've just mentioned there that you were Faraday Hall chair and you were also welfare rep there for a few months. How do you think that has prepared you for this role?
I think in more ways than I originally realised. I think dealing with pre-COVID, I had things like organising events, starting to organise balls, getting everyone in normal times excited, and then suddenly I was hit with, oh wait, no, you need to look after everyone's mental health, you need to make sure everyone's okay, everyone's home, they're separated, but you still need to be a family. There were lots of things that were going on that I was having to deal with. And then the whole COVID freshers was just a complete another thing that I didn't even expect to happen, but it actually worked really well, and I think Faraday has actually blossomed this year. So I think it prepared me in more ways than I realised, dealing with a team and just complete crises, what felt like every day.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we were saying your manifesto heavily focuses on welfare, and we were saying earlier how the president and welfare previously seemed to have some connection. Matt Youngs obviously was welfare before he became president. Why have you decided to focus so much on it?
I just think it's really important. I think it's something that's coming out more and more in the media. So things like mental health and sexual assault are talked about more and more, which is important anyway. But I don't think giving it a platform is a bad idea. I don't think getting more exec members involved in things like this does any harm. I think it does really good things. And that's why I just like to mention it and make sure there are more and more conversations going on.
Now, another thing you have mentioned is keeping old and new traditions. So firstly, what's your favourite old tradition, but what's your also favourite new tradition that has come around this year?
So old tradition, I think it's the things that make Loughborough. So I think it's things like freshers and refreshers. We have certain things in there that other universities don't have. When I moved in, I was telling all my friends from home that I was doing these things. They were like, okay, what is that? I've never experienced that. And I think they're things that make us a family. But the new tradition to me, and it's something I will always go on about, is the music community around Loughborough. They've done an amazing job and they deserve more of a platform. There's people who are entrepreneurial and they were musical, and I was just astonished this summer and beyond on how well they did, and that's why I just thought new traditions like that need to be mentioned.
Sounds great. And obviously you've talked about the music community and using the online platform. You've had to use the online platform to do your campaigning. Yeah. How have you found that, and what strategies have you come up with?
It has been weird. It's kind of, you feel like there's a slight barrier there, but I think it's just being really open, honest, answering people's questions. I think it's been quite weird. I think I feel like I've just been staring at a screen for days on end. Like, I'm not looking at my screen time at the end of this week. It's just, it will be embarrassing. But there has been a barrier there, but I think tactics-wise, Instagram for us has worked a little bit better. Places like Facebook, it is more your friends that are liking your pages or your posts. But Instagram, we can reach a few more people. So we've been utilising that, me and my campaign team at least.
And your 23 questions video, how was it filming that? It looked like you had a lovely walk around campus.
It was actually quite fun. I had my friends with me and my campaign team, and we were actually just enjoying it. They were just getting all their questions ready and just flying them at me, and I actually really enjoyed the experience.
And we saw you score a brilliant goal on the hockey pitch there right at the end.
Yeah, I can't say hockey is my best talent.
Now, if you were elected as president, You have quite a lot of responsibility. You are representing the student union. What do you think the biggest what do you think is the biggest change you can bring to the role?
I think the fact that I'm younger, I do think that I've been described as bold for going for it so young, but I think it can be a good thing. I think I'm slightly more in touch with the students. I am a student. I will be a student when I hopefully finish the role because it will be a placement. And I think knowing what they want and being able to talk to them will hopefully make me more visible and more relatable is what I'm hoping.
And finally, you know, we've asked this to all the candidates today. If you could have one chance to tell voters why they should vote for you, what is it?
I think that I will work really, really hard. I absolutely love everything about Loughborough and I love the students. I think we are a massive family and I think I really can represent all of them. The sporty ones, the non-sporty, the ones that love societies, the ones that love music. I understand and appreciate it all and I would love the opportunity to be their voice whenever they want me to be.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us today, Freya, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Freya, again. And now let's have a look at the President Soapbox highlights.
Well, there we go. It's the big one. It's the presidential debate here at LSU on the Soapbox.
My manifesto is based around maintaining both old and new traditions as we ease out of the pandemic.
With a new VC come new opportunities. With the introduction of a new Vice Chancellor at the university, it is very important for us to start off on the right foot.
So if you had to get rid of one role, one aspect of the role of president to make space for more communication with the student in your role, what would it be and why?
I actually wouldn't remove any part of the presidential role. I've looked at what's been advertised, hence why I've gone for the role. And I believe if I removed a part, I am working for the students and for the benefit of them. I wouldn't want to remove anything, I'd want to just make it better.
I think representing the students should not be something that I need to prioritize. It should be something that I'm always doing. All of the work that the person needs to be doing should always be aimed at representing the students.
You admit it in your manifesto that it focuses a lot on welfare issues and a lot on welfare and diversity. But whilst issues such as mental health and campus safety are important, are they really the priority for the union president?
I personally think these issues, as much as they're welfare, they're union and uni-wide. For me, welfare issues, they're as much as welfare do an amazing job and they pick up and they are the main force of them. I don't think there's anything wrong with the presidents or anyone from Exec also helping push that along. I think it's an important conversation that needs to be had.
Post-COVID, which one of the 8 strategic points should be prioritised?
I mentioned it in my manifesto. Communication needs to be, the strategic points around communication and transparency, they definitely need to be reviewed.
So what makes you think that you'll actually be able to make LSU more transparent when other presidents haven't been able to do that?
I did mention at some point an emphasis on financial transparency.
So how do you think you're actually going to be able to change that objective and that strategic direction that the union has placed here until 2025 when you actually cannot change that?
We don't need to really change them per se, but also we need to be working in a better way towards achieving them.
You say you want to improve student links to advice networks and opportunities, as well as creating a forum on the website to people to discuss their experiences. What would this look like and what can be the point of it?
So I think for me, something I've noticed recently with such as Loughborough Confession and Depression is people asking, what's a good place for me to go into town next year? What can I do? Like, where's the best house to go and things like that.
What does LSU mean to you?
Through the years experiencing many of the roles that I have experienced, it has meant something where I could grow as a professional, grow as an individual.
I think Loughborough and LSU are home and LSU helps embody Loughborough to become the family it is. So that's all it means to me. It provides opportunities, it provides a family, it's home.
And now we're joined by someone who knows a lot about the presidential role, Matt Youngs. Hello Matt, can you hear us?
Good evening, Olivia Bethan. How are you?
We are good, thank you. Now, before we begin, we heard that you were missing something from the socially distanced social club.
Okay, yes. So I will admit that at the moment we are not a distanced club. We are only the socially club because somebody has nicked our letter D from the signs on top of the hill. So if anybody out there who is watching has seen a big letter D somewhere around Loughborough on campus, then it is ours. Please return it.
We've got a thief on our hands then in that case. Oh, well, in which case, let's get in with some questions. I mean, you've been president, you know how hard it is, you know the role inside out. I mean, the role of president is to really make a huge change in the student body. What big changes do you see for the future of Loughborough?
So I think a lot of the changes that the President will lead on next year in particular have come about from the announcement that we had earlier this week with a new Vice-Chancellor. And I think that represents a really big step forward and a new chapter for Loughborough and Loughborough University, because the President has such a challenging role to ensure that that relationship between two organisations that are bigger than two individuals continues into the future as well. So you've got that on one side of things, and then you've also got LSU as an organisation going through an awful lot of change at the moment. There is so much developing in terms of the structure of the executive as a team, but also student opportunities. We've also, on the horizon, got a new Students' Union building, which is such an exciting opportunity, which the next president will have such a big input into as well.
Yeah, I mean, you were also welfare executive beforehand, which is similar to one of our candidates. Do you think you've managed to achieve so much more when you became president?
You achieve something very different when you become president. As Welfare University Executive Officer, your entire mindset is devoted to equality, diversity and inclusion. Whereas when you are president, it is about the entire breadth of the student experience. You are the pinnacle of student representation. You are the individual that most students will know on campus. Therefore, it's a very, very different challenge. I've absolutely loved my time as president this year. I think it's such a fantastic opportunity to have such a big impact at such a young age, and all of those come together into this wonderful melting pot that creates a role that is full of challenge and opportunity at the same time.
I mean, what's something that you would have changed if you could, now that we have hindsight on our side?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think when I first came into the role, obviously COVID was only just coming onto the radar, and none of us could have foreseen that it would have the impact that it did this year. Indeed, when I first started as president, we were still planning on having a normal freshers, and we now look at that as in the situation we still find ourselves and think, wow, how on earth could we have been that stupid? But I think because it was such a constantly changing picture and we were navigating it for the first time as 20-something-year-olds, we've always got to remember that as well. I think transparency is a theme that will come out of this year. Because it was so fast-paced, there were so many times this year where people have turned to me and gone, you are the president, make this call. And in reflection on reflection, in hindsight, I would have wanted to, of course, to have consulted students more on that. But that's something that you can never guarantee, because you never know what is going to be coming in your direction one moment to another.
Yes, I mean, this year has definitely had and posed huge challenges to everyone. I mean, we have these two candidates that both seem spectacular in their own ways, but what advice would you give to each of them?
I would say be genuine, be humble, and be yourself. And that includes your time as a candidate, and for one of you, hopefully, your time as president. Because if you can come across as a personable individual, one of my things that I've strived to do this year is make myself personable to students, but also make the organisation that you represent personable as well. If people can connect with you and resonate with you, they will be on board with your ideas and the direction you want to take the organisation. And if you can be most personable if you are yourself. So just be yourself, enjoy the opportunities that you have in front of you, and get ready to take this organisation in a new direction.
And finally, just to finish, how excited are you for tomorrow's results night?
I am super excited. It's been over a year since I was elected to president, and I will never, ever forget that moment on stage where you have your results read out. And I think that is something that is so special and will be treasured by any candidate, regardless of who wins.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. We look forward to hearing from you again soon.
Thank you both.
Thank you. And now I think we do have some statistics for you, which I think Bethan will lead us on.
Yes, so firstly, we're going to have a look at how many people have voted this year so far. Now, there is time left to vote if you, well, if you want to, you definitely need to.
You should, you definitely should.
So, let's have a look.
No worries about that. We will get that fixed for you shortly.
Here we go. 7% of students have voted so far. That's over 1,000 votes. Now, this, I believe, is slightly behind. I think the union confirmed about an hour ago that they had 1,500 votes. So it's steadily going up, but of course, plenty of time for all of you to vote. Now, let's have a look at some rankings. We're going to start with halls. Now, let's see which hall has got the most votes. Now, right at the bottom there, leading the way with 144 is Faraday. In second place is Bakewell and third Harry French, which are very close together, followed by Claudia Parsons, Rig Rutt, Rutherford, Folcake, Telford, Kaylee, Elvin, Butler Court, The Hole, Royce, Bilmo, Towers and David Collett there, right at the bottom now. There is some incentive for you horse to get voting, with the first 3 winning a prize, so get voting and get those numbers up. Let's move on now to departments. Now right at the bottom there, leading the way again, is School of Sport, Exercise and Health Science, 282. SBE, not really that far, well, 100 points behind, so quite far behind, but still plenty of time for them to get those votes up, followed by DCA, WMEME, AACME, Polis, Geography, ABCE, Maths, Comp Sci, CM, SPS and English, Chemistry, Physics, and London there at the bottom with 3 votes. Now, like I said, plenty of time for them to get their votes up. Let's move on to the top 10 AU clubs. Dance leading the way on 88, followed by lacrosse and cheerleading, netball and athletics, very close between those 4. Trampoline follows that, badminton, snow sports, rugby union and cycling down at the bottom, with those 3 at the bottom there on the same amount of votes. So, let's move on to the societies. Video Game Society leading the way with 51, but Cocktail and Spanish not far, and Cook and Bake not far behind, and Hike and Clover in fact. Tabletop Gaming, Pole Fitness, Afro-Caribbean, Finance and Investment and Feminist Sock make up the rest of the top 10. And tonight, as well as those stats, we actually have a very special treat for you. We have got some exit polls. Now these are purely for interest. They may not really be a real representation of the student body. They were open for voting for absolutely everyone. So let's start with action. So Jodie Evans and Ron there. Jodie Evans leading the way on 83%. Like I said, these are not the real results. These are just the exit polls. So it could change tomorrow, but as here we can see Jodie is winning. Now let's go on to Rag. Hetty, again, 83%, the same as Jodie, so looking good for her. And Society. Who do we have on top? Seth, again, leading away 63.7%, so very good proportion, definitely over half. Let's move on to Enterprise. This is a lot closer. Nathan Chan on 42, Cameron Glenlight on 33, very close between those 2, so it could all change tomorrow. And let's move on to the executive officer roles. Welfare, Jean Cameron, 15%, Alex Marlowe leading the way on 73.9%. That again could change. Sport, Rachel Cavehill up against Ron, 79.8%, clearly again, 8% of votes, a very popular candidate. Let's move on to education. Again, 3 candidates this time. Thomas Young leading the way with 60% in the exit poll. Eleanor Bishop, half of that is 30, so let's see what happens with that. Vice President. Charlotte Stahl is leading the way again. And Leon Dixon not too far behind, so again, very interesting. And finally, the President. Again, very, very close.
That's very close,
very
that
close.
one. That's unprecedented.
Freya, 48.9%. Gabo, 41%. That's extremely close. It's clear that they're both popular candidates. So let's see what happens on the results night tomorrow.
Yeah, so we've seen those predicted results. Again, those aren't the actual results. Make sure you tune in for those tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we have loved having you. We've loved speaking to the candidates. And make sure you vote before tomorrow. The voting does indeed close at 4 p.m. So definitely make sure you get yours in before then. Thank you again so much for watching, and we will catch you tomorrow. So make sure you tune in.
Thank you very much.